And
Hey, Daddy, this is the man of the champions, Bill Fonzie Alfonso, giving a shout out to something else. Something else, Daddy.
This is Nickel Matata, Great Warrior Wolf, and you are listening to Something Else.
I'm Tony Cini, and you're listening to something else.
Hey everybody, it's Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, and you are listening to Something Else with Arya.
welcome to episode number 285 of Something Else. Feast your ear holes in this week's episode as we take a look at Mid-South Wrestling and World Class Championship Wrestling from April the 20th, 1985. She said 420. My name is Arya, and joining me as always is the Jim Cornette to my little John. It's Trey. Trey, how the hell you doing today?
Uh, I'm doing great. Happy 420 to all who observe.
He said 420.
Yes, I heard you do that the first time. Very clever.
Oh my God. I forget if I told you this story, perhaps if I said it on the fucking show. But when I was working at the bus terminal, we had a bus on Saturdays that was scheduled every Saturday at 420. And every fucking time I would say that, I'd get all the fucking annoying ass people giggling because I said 420 and it would piss me off. So I just started saying 20 after 4. And, you know, on
I'm sorry. That would
this,
that would wear thin. I'm sorry that you had that experience.
yeah. Um,
I had I was like leaving a doctor's office one time and they were giving me the date for my follow-up appointment and it was November 5th. And I said, okay, so I need to remember the 5th of November. And the lady did not get it at all. So
it's okay. So, yeah, Mid-South Wrestling, April 20th, 1985, 3 weeks after WrestleMania 1. And Bill Watts is not on the show this week, so we don't know if he's still throwing his temper tantrum from last week.
he's probably still throwing it like today in 2026.
It is very possible. I mean, we do have to apologize to the fans up front. Unlike, obviously the far superior WrestleMania, we will not be playing 10 minutes of commercials in between every match we talk about. And
Yeah, yeah. You know,
especially,
I go ahead, go ahead.
especially commercials that are the same commercials we aired at the beginning of the show, at the end of the show.
Yeah, that shit is horrific. I we had both said that we weren't planning on watching it, and I wasn't planning on watching it, but I did actually watch the last hour of WrestleMania.
The CM Punk Roman Reigns match and the 10 million commercials that preceded it.
But it was somebody told me to start at the video packages, and so if you start at the beginning of the Punk and Roman VTR, it's an hour left, and then there's that video, and then of course there is one commercial. There's a fucking Uso Snickers commercial, and then the entrances in the match altogether. It's an hour.
So somebody exclaimed on Twitter yesterday that WWE was saved because of that match. Do you feel that WWE is saved now?
I don't even understand the argument. Was WWE in danger of financial peril, and now it's not because of that match?
I don't know. I did not bother to follow up with that person. Um, if you're out there listening to this and you're the person who tweeted that, let us know what the hell you were talking about. We'd appreciate it. And for those tuning in because you want to hear the results of the second annual WrestleMania prediction contest, not sponsored by Dude Wipes, we're going to push that to Thursday. So despite what I tell Cindy
Yeah.
tomorrow, we're going to talk about it Thursday.
Yeah, because We don't have a lot of Smoky Mountain Wrestling to talk about on Thursday.
And we need help to pad out the show.
Yeah.
Um, I did you see Punk knock a fan's phone out of his hands?
Yeah, good for him. Fans, stop being fucking creepy to wrestlers in public.
Yes. Um, and I saw somebody make this argument that, it wasn't like they were like in a space that demanded privacy. They were open in a hotel room. It's like, motherfucker, there's an expectation of privacy no matter what the hell you're doing in your life. Don't fucking like stand 30 feet away and film AJ Lee and Bailey having a private moment and think that it's okay because they're public people.
It's really, people are so fucking creepy. It's awful.
Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe it's because I was never one of those people who hung out at hotel lobbies or at the airport waiting for people to show up. But it feels so much worse than it was before.
It, there's such like a growth of just people have such parasocial relationships with their entertainment now that I think that these things have become more prominent.
Well, let's go to the star of stars. As promised last week, Joel Watts is here this week, and he's with some guy named Jim Ross. Let's go to the intro of Mid-South.
To another exciting hour of Mid-South Wrestling. Thanks very much for being with us, everybody. I'm Jim Ross, and along with Joe Watts, we'll be calling the action today. It's going to be a tremendous hour. You're going to see some of the top stars in all of wrestling. Hacksaw Duggan will be here. Of course, you will see the Barbarian in action. Also, the Dirty White Boys team up and go against Brickhouse Brown and Rocky Montana. Jake the Snake Roberts is on hand. We'll talk more about that in one moment, ladies and gentlemen. Dirty Dutch Mantel will be here. It's going to be an exciting hour. And Joel, the fourth round of our television tournament match is coming up today.
Yes, sir, and it's going to pit Steve Casey, undefeated so far in Mid-South Wrestling, against Jake the Snake Roberts. That's going to be a classic confrontation, I can guarantee you.
Well, it certainly will, ladies and gentlemen. And last week, if you were with us, and we certainly hope that you were, General Skandar Akbar made a very profound statement to the Mid-South Wrestling audience. He talked of his newfound control over Kamala, but equally as important, he made some very serious threats. And the General's threats, as we all know, cannot go unnoticed. Let's go back in time last week and hear exactly what General Akbar had to say.
So we're going to have a big match this week, the fourth round of the TV title tournament, undefeated Steve Casey versus Jake Roberts. Now, do you recall what the record of the undefeated Steve Casey is? Is Trey still with us? He's not. It's just me. Trey was telling me he was having battery problems with his headset, and I think that's what happened here. I may be flying solo right now. Let me check my phone because I closed it out. Oh, nope, his computer actually froze. So what the hell? I'm just gonna sit and talk about it while we see what's going on here. So yeah, we're gonna have a bunch of matches this week. It's just gonna be Steve Casey versus Jake Roberts. Steve Casey at 3-0. And let's see here. And other than that, like, the other big match, and big being with an asterisk, the Dirty White Boys versus Brickhouse Brown and Rocky Montana. If you were with us last week, the Montanas are Mac and Jim Jeffers, Mid-Atlantic fame, quote unquote. So they're here, and believe me, they're not really getting much of a push here either. So anyway, before we move on, because I might as well wait for Trey. Actually, no. What I'm going to do here, because I don't know when Trey's going to be back, so we're just going to play the next clip, because right after that, they showed us the replay of Akbar's promo from last week, and then JR had some things to say about what Akbar said last week.
That statement came, I think, some very important things for us to remember here in Mid-South. First of all, General Skandar Akbar's threats to the North American champion Terry Taylor for what he did to Friday, for Ted DiBiase, for what Hacksaw Duggan did to Ted DiBiase, And of course, another threat directed to the double tough Brickhouse Brown. The question that has arose here is just who is the prime target for the threat that General Skandar Akbar made. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to see Kamala in action. Let's go to ring announcer Boy Pierce for our first match.
Okay. So, yeah, Trey's not back. But yeah, it was just a recap of what Akbar said. And I don't know. Like Akbar's been here for a while. We know he just pulls out his money to, buy people, and some of his investments are pretty decent, like Ted DiBiase and Buddy Landell, who where the hell has Buddy Landell been? He's probably gone. But yeah, but other investments Akbar's made with the money. You know, Akbar is not a very smart man with his money. We'll get to that as things go on. And we've been rejoined by our co-host with the co-most. It is Trey again.
Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties.
See, I assumed it was your headset dying.
Nope.
So we listened to JR talk about Akbar after they replayed Akbar's promo. Do you have anything to say about the intro and then Akbar?
So Akbar, because this didn't really register with me last week, I guess.
Hmm.
Akbar took Kamala to Haiti
Yes.
and did something to gain greater control over him.
Yes.
I can only assume voodoo.
Uh, Maybe we need Awesome Kong to come beat the shit out of General Skandor Akbar.
Maybe they met Papa Shango, and that was how Papa Shango came to get into the wrestling business.
Now, I probably should have looked this up, but to be honest, I'm not terribly familiar with the geographical locations of certain countries. Where is Haiti in comparison to South Africa? Like I can kind of figure out where South Africa is, but in comparison, where's Haiti?
Haiti is in the Caribbean.
Okay, so it's not even close.
No.
Okay, so I can't even make a really bad joke about how Skandor Akbar and the Fantastics went on a trip together, and uh,
No, those were different trips.
oh damn, really, Haiti's in the Caribbean?
Yes,
I,
it shares an island called Hispaniola with a country called the Dominican Republic.
okay then, you know, color me either racist or a dumbass. I'd rather be a dumbass, to be honest. Kamala with General Skandor Akbar without suit jacket versus the masked Marvel Mrs. Maisel. Um,
I'm sorry, that was good. It's just I don't want to teach you about the history of Haiti right now because if you don't know anything about it, it's like fucking gnarly.
well, maybe if you had your headset plugged in, we could go over the history of Haiti.
Bonus
But
show.
I would love to not. I'm sorry. I would hate to not be able to discuss the world class mid card match this week with you because you ran out of juice on your headset.
Okay.
Um, so we were wondering who Akbar's primary target is. I would assume it's the Masked Marvel because why else would Akbar sign a match for Kamala with him? Um,
I
I'll be honest, I don't know about you, but I kind of assumed that this was a DDP as La Parka situation. I was fully expecting this to be somebody. I'm not sure who it would have been. Maybe Duggan because the guy was a bit chunky, but it was not. It was just a masked jobber who got beat pretty quickly. And for some reason, Kamala, maybe he had a boner. He just would not get up off of the masked Marvel until Jim Duggan ran down, proving that Jim Duggan is not, in fact, a masked Marvel. And my favorite part of this was Duggan comes down. They show a picture in picture of Duggan coming down, which is fine. But then they keep the picture in picture on as Duggan gets in the ring. So we have a picture in picture of Jim Duggan standing in the ring over the shoulder of Jim Duggan standing in the ring.
I it took me longer to look up and determine that the Mass Marvel did not have a cage match profile than it did for Kamala to beat him.
I'll be honest, what I did was I searched for Kamala, and
So
then
did I.
yeah, I did search for Marvel, and there we go.
Yeah,
By the way, where was Skandor Akbar's suit jacket? He was bare without it this week.
maybe he lost it.
There you go, maybe possibly. Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus It's Your Girl Thor. So before the match, General Skandor Akbar was out there and showed Thor some money. Um, Thor again has never won a match in this territory, further proving my time-tested theory: General Skandor Akbar is bad with money.
I
Uh,
wish that Admiral Akbar was still alive because I feel like he'd be very easy to swindle out of a lot of money.
He'd be an interesting, addition to Mid-South Wrestling. Um, Duggan won with a spear, then ran after Akbar, throwing a chair at him as Ak scurried up the steps, and Joel screamed, "Oh yeah!" as we went to commercial. Um,
Oh, Joel.
Now, I'll be honest, you had told me earlier today, before I had the chance to watch the show in its entirety, that you were pissed off about something on this show. I watched this entire show, and maybe I just did not get as angry as you did about something. There was nothing on this show that really raised my dander, so I may have missed it.
We'll get there.
Okay, so it's not yet. We haven't reached it with Hacksaw Duggan versus It's Your Girl Thor.
No.
Okay. Any thoughts on Thor and this match specifically?
I
Do you think if Akbar would have actually given him the money as opposed to just showing it to him, Thor would have had a better performance?
maybe he would have been a little more motivated.
But yeah, I think that's one of these the less said the better type things.
Yeah, sorry.
No.
I don't have any further analysis of Jim Duggan and fucking nails for 90 seconds.
Somehow I don't think they ever had a match in WWE. But yep. So then we get a replay of last week's angle with the Rock and Roll Express versus Jake the Snake and the Ball Bearing, when the Dirty White Boys helped with the hanging. And JR is on a soapbox this week of sorts. Let's go to JR, who has some thoughts on that angle from last week.
Key points can be made, ladies and gentlemen, about what you have just seen. Number one, the Dirty White Boys. You saw what they tried to do to Ricky Morton. Secondly, Jake the Snake Roberts. As sick and devious an individual as I have ever seen in wrestling. He DDT'd Robert Gibson, and he DDT'd Hacksaw Jim Duggan. But not before we saw the awesome force of the Barbarian as he totally rendered Hacksaw Duggan unconscious with that full Nelson. Ladies and gentlemen, this issue must be further addressed, but right now, let's see the Barbarian in action and go to ring announcer Boyd Pierce.
Trey, this situation must be further addressed some other time.
I have an update.
Okay.
Jim Duggan and Nails had 4 house show matches in July and December of 1992.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Rockford, Illinois, St. Louis, Boston, and Springfield, Massachusetts.
What did those cities ever do to Vince McMahon?
He knew that you were going to live near Boston someday.
And he was not impressed by the amount of souvenirs that I did not purchase at my one house show. Yep. The Ball Bearing with frog jump action versus Stony Montana. I'll be honest, I was quote unquote worried that Joel's microphone wasn't working at first because he was unusually quiet as this match got started. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. Joel got his microphone working again and decided to keep talking. Now, Barbarian is a fucking ungrateful prick. I don't know if you noticed this during this match, but he stood in the ring and he asked Stony Edwards to put him in a top wrist lock. And Stony Edwards, wow, where did that come from? Stony Montana being the very nice man that he is, very affable, very, accepting. Barbarian wants a top wrist lock. Okay, I'll put you in a top wrist lock. And as soon as Stoney did that, he kept shoving him off. Like, what the
Very
hell?
rude.
What the hell, dude? Um, Barbarian, I don't know what this was supposed to do. Maybe take out Stoney's equilibrium, but he lifted Stoney up for a pile driver like 3 times and then kept putting him down. And I, I guess maybe it was a bloated equilibrium because, up and down, up and down, up and down, but whatever. He then gave a big boot to a foot to the right of Stony Montana's head. I'm going to get this guy's name right by the end of this match. Uh,
Okay. I think one time you said Stony Edwards, which I recognize that name. Stony Edwards was one of the first African American singers to have a significant presence in country music,
see,
according
I
to Google overview.
see. I think that's the guy that Big Vinny B wrestled in like his first match.
I think you may be right about that too. And then, did you say? Did you start to say Stony Mountain?
Yes,
Stone Mountain is
a city.
site of a notorious Confederate monument in Georgia, and was also where Jake Roberts was announced from in the WWF.
Yes. Barbarian used a middle rope shoulder tackle and the hanging full Nelson for the win. And at least for one more week, I don't have to talk about Stony Montana and fuck up his name 6 or 7 times.
So very one-sided ass whooping. Stony Montana tried to counteract the hanging full Nelson by hooking his legs on the Berserker Barians, but it did not help. But I applaud the effort.
Yeah, so if this is your first time listening to our tremendous program, first you got 284 episodes to go, so get going. And secondly, this is John Nord, not to
Yeah.
be confused with Meng's partner or the
No,
Warlord's partner.
this was not Bob Marion.
No. The Dirty White Boys versus Brickhouse Brown and the other Montana. So I could not remember what his name was, and I didn't want to scroll up and read my notes from earlier.
Rocky.
Yes. Well, yes, it's Rocky Montana, but I called him Tom the whole match because the other Montana, Tom. Was Brickhouse Brown extremely African American? Or is it just that the other 4 people in this match are so absurdly white that he just looked exceptionally dark by comparison?
Brickhouse Brown is indeed much more African American than the Dirty White Boys.
But you know what I mean? Like, he was very dark.
Speaking of dark, I watched the Punk and Roman Reigns match. The referee, I had to Google a bit to figure out who the referee was because I don't know all the WWE referees. And when I compared the way this man looked in that ring to what he looked on like the Google search, WWE referee Rod Zapata had a fucking tan that borders on being racially insensitive.
I thought you were going to say that he needed to be on a steroid test.
I don't know. Maybe that too. But this motherfucker was tan.
Remember the UFC referee who had the Ox Baker mustache?
Yes.
Who sadly was not, in fact, Ox Baker. So Brickhouse is doing, and I quote from JR, some serious cooking as he gained the advantage. As soon as the other Montana tagged in, they cut him off for the heat, and then Brickhouse pinned Len with a diving headbutt. And since this is the Dirty White Boys' first loss on TV, does that make Brickhouse and Tom the #1 contenders?
I bet that Brickhouse Brown and Rocky Montana never team again, which this is what pissed me off.
Okay.
They were just during this match. They were talking about how the Dirty White Boys were undefeated on the show and how they are feuding with the Mid-South Tag Team Champions of Rock and Roll Express. And then they lose to fucking Brickhouse Brown essentially by himself.
The other Montana was not helpful at all during this match.
I question the logic of that creative choice.
There were a lot of creative issues with the two shows we're watching this week.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm almost going to give Ken Mantell a pass because he was too busy concentrating on his 7-minute segment of the show this week.
Oh God, that was fucking horrific.
Oh Lord. But yeah, White Boy and White Boy get their first loss on TV this week, at least under this moniker. Because when Tony Anthony was a job guy, he lost all the damn time on this show. All right. Now, time for the continuation of quite possibly the worst tournament in the history of wrestling. Steve Casey versus Jake the Snake Roberts in the 4th round of the television tournament for a medal and $10,000. We have some breaking news. They did not change the bracket this week.
I wondered.
I did pull up the screenshot of last week's bracket, and I studied it carefully, and it had not changed. I will say they really want you to forget that they said Jim Duggan was the number 1 seed and that Chris Adams was the number 2 seed when Brad Armstrong got a bye all the way into the semifinals.
Well, see, that actually makes some
Yes,
level of sense.
because he's the former North American champion. So it does make sense, but he's at best the 3 seed in this tournament, and he gets to wait until somebody's wrestled at least once because he's got the winner of this match in the 7th round of our 8-round tournament. Oh God. So Chris Adams really got fucked though, if you think about it. He was supposed to be the 2 seed, but if he would have won, he would have to have 4 matches in order to win the tournament.
Yeah, well, didn't he lose to Steve Casey?
Yes, he did. And just based on my unofficial rankings, based on how they termed it, Steve Casey should have been the 9 seed, even though this tournament has featured at least 3 jobbers in it.
I will say that this match was very good. It was the best match on either show this week.
Geez, you really went on a limb on that one, didn't you?
Well, they told an interesting little story of Jake being frustrated by Casey's technical acumen, and he sold it throughout the match that he was frustrated. Well, and I thought it made for a very neat little match.
It started even before that because Jake goes for an arm whip, and instead of bouncing off the ropes, Casey just did a cartwheel. And Jake just kind of backed into the corner with his hands on his hips, like, motherfucker, what are you doing here?
Yeah. And this also was a tremendous finish for 1985.
Well, before we get to the finish, there's a couple things I want to say. First, Casey used what was allegedly a drop kick, but Jake was so close, it was closer to a toe tap. And I think Eric Watts was watching this going, man, that's a great drop kick. I want to emulate that. Now, there is something I wanted to discuss. So it's 2026, Trae, and you and I, we're on the internet a lot, and we see and hear a lot of other people, wrestling pundits, as you will, complain about how wrestling today is not like how it used to be. That they spam up finishers. Think about the Young Bucks. They do 10 million super kicks per match, and people using moves has transitions when they used to be finishers back in the day, kid. However, it goes both ways. Twice in this match, Steve Casey used a move that won a World Heavyweight Championship, in modern day wrestling. And one time he got a 1 count, another time didn't even get a count. And did you see what move that was?
What was it?
The side headlock takeover.
Oh yeah.
Congrats to Darby
Speaking
Allin, by the way.
speaking of wrestling pundits, did you see that Brian Alvarez eliminated Sean Ross Sapp from the
Yeah,
clusterfuck?
yes. I legitimately have nothing against Sean Ross Sapp. I'm sure he's a wonderful person, but I've told the story on the show where my friend Tim, I was hanging out at him and Alana's house one day, and he said to me that his favorite wrestling reporter was Sean Ross Sapp, and I'm sitting there with my arms up, going, "What?" You know, he didn't catch on to the fact that I'm like, "Really, really?" Not even pretending that it's me. But yeah. But yeah, I made sure. Oh, first I texted him to make sure y'all aren't going to watch the clusterfuck, right? They're like, probably not. I'm like, okay, well, my kind of boss beat your favorite wrestling reporter. Uh, um, let's see here. Oh yeah. Casey made his comeback and went for a crossbody, but Jake ducked. Casey bounced out of the ring to the floor. And then Casey, hey, he's like, I'm going to continue, and he dragged himself back into the ring, but Jake cut him off and dropped him with a DDT for the win.
Yes, tremendous finish.
And by the way, this is the end of Steve Casey's undefeated streak.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yep. Next week is Jimmy Duggan versus Tommy Pritchard in the fifth round of the television tournament for a medal and $10,000. It feels like Tommy Pritchard had his match with Timmy Horner like 6 months ago at this point. He turned heel and it's never been brought up again.
I didn't even remember it.
Yeah. Remember, like Horner was out of the ring and Tommy Pritchard held open the ropes, but then he did some nefarious thing.
I do not remember that. I believe you.
I don't even remember what the nefarious thing was. I just remember he won by count out. He couldn't even beat Timmy Horner by pinfall. All right. Dirty Dutch Mantel with Shoe Baby versus White Lightning, Tim Horner. You know, Trey, I feel like I've seen these two standing next to each other before. While I'm trying to remember what that is, let me just randomly play a clip here as to break up the monotony of us talking.
Standing right with me here is White Lightning Tim Horner. And Tim, I just want to say that, the way Paul Orndorff acted last week, I don't agree with it, and I think you did absolutely the right thing by coming out and doing exactly what you did.
Well, Dutch, I figured you'd see it my way. You seem to always do when we're kind of face-to-face, if you know what I mean. But let me tell you something, Mr. Paul Orndorff. You got here and you degrade these people. You degrade everybody. You say that you're Mr. Wonderful and you've been all over the world. Well, I've been a few places myself, and most recently it was on you, if you can recall. So let me just tell you something. If you got something to say to me, Mr. Wonderful, you say it to my face. Don't say it about my family. Don't say it about my friends. And certainly don't say it about my fans. You understand what I'm saying? Now let me tell you something else, Mr. Wonderful. Thanksgiving Thunder, you interfered in my match. You cost me that title. Now we've been going around tag matches, me and Ronnie Garvin. You don't have the guts one-on-one to face me. Always got to have something to wrap around your hand or get something from Ron Ryder, the dirty white boy. If you want some of me, jump on me. I'll help you all I can. You understand where I'm coming from? I'm not a hard man to find. These people know I'll fight when I have to. And now it's come the time to fight, Mr. Wonderful, and that's exactly what it's going to be. If you want to fight, it's going to be a fight. Jump on me, get in my face, slap me, and get me in the mood if you know what I'm talking about. So go ahead, get in my face, jump on me. If you get tired, I'll take over. But nevertheless, Mr. Wonderful, I'm going to get you wherever it's going to be. If it's here, if it's in the parking lot, who cares? It doesn't matter to me. Does it matter to you, Dutch?
No, sir. Doesn't matter to me where you get him, as long as you don't get me. That's it.
So remember that time Tim Horner wanted to have gay sex with Paul Orndorff?
Mr. What did he say?
Mr. Warren, Mr. Warren. Oh God, there's a reason why we had a Tim Horner rule on Smoky Mountain that never got enforced as much as it should have been. So someone warned Dutch this is a bad week for undefeated wrestlers. Um, And then we saw future Smoky Mountain commentator Dutch Mantel cheat in front of future Smoky Mountain board member Ronnie West, who couldn't catch him pulling the tights of future Smoky Mountain pain in the ass Tim Horner. Um, Dutch used what was referred to as a strange, unorthodox body slam there for a 2 count. Most of us just call that a side slam. Why Lightning missed a crossbody and got pinned with a gourd buster. It's good to know someone remained undefeated this week.
So does shoe baby like mean something? It just sounds like some nonsense words to me.
Honestly, he called it Shoe Baby in Smoky Mountain 2 and never explained what that meant. So I think it's just some nonsense words.
All right.
Let me see. The most I got is that apparently there was a song in the 40s called Shoo Shoo Baby, but I can't state for sure that that's where that's from.
Huh.
Yeah. Oh well. And apparently there's some sort of bar and restaurant in Los Angeles, California called Shoo Shoo Baby.
Huh.
But I don't know this for a fact. I don't mean to insinuate anything about Dirty Dutch Mantel. That seems far less likely. And I don't know if this restaurant was around back then or this bar was around back then, so I'm not making that insinuation. But just like it doesn't seem like Dutch's type of place by looking at uh, Google.
All right then.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Dutch and Tim?
Sorry.
Any thoughts on Dutch and Tim?
I have a decent little showcase match for Dutch. It was fine.
And as we always say, Tim Horner can't talk, but he's certainly a very adequate professional wrestler.
Yeah.
Right. Main event time, kind of. General Edward Gilbert and the Nightmare versus Private Terry Daniels and Steve Brinson. Do military generals typically go by a nickname like Eddie? Like that just, I don't know. It's like to me, like if you're in the military and you're a general and being called Eddie, that doesn't sound right.
We don't have enough time for me to start listening generals who went by nicknames.
Okay then. Um, Now, which branch of the military is the Cobra Corps? Should Terry be listening to the orders of Eddie Gilbert?
Well, why didn't General Eddie Gilbert order Private Terry Daniels to lay down and take the loss? Is he stupid?
Well, if they're in two different branches of the military, does he still have to listen to him and
Well,
take
I
orders?
mean, an admiral in the Navy outranks a private in the Air Force, or an airman in the Air Force, a private in the Army.
Understandably, but if the
Admirable.
wow, first aired my new tongue this week. I must have lost it on Saturday in the front seat of someone's car. So if an admiral in the Navy tells, a whatchamacallit in the Air Force, the lowest ranking member in the Air Force, what to do, does that person in the Air Force have to listen? I guess that's
um, like probably like it depends on the situation. I don't know what but like if they were in a war zone or something, and the airman was in yes, probably.
okay. Wasn't didn't Lawler wear an army jacket and get in trouble because it had like real medals on it at one point in like the 80s or 70s?
That sounds like a thing that probably happened.
Okay. Let's see here. Nightmare pinned Brinson with a pile driver. Um, Now every week we sit here and talk about how they tell us what happened next week and then in 2 weeks something's gonna happen. Well, they did not do that this week. They told us that in 3 weeks the Freebirds will be here. Well,
Now,
that's a
do
change of
you think
pace.
they'll actually be here in 3 weeks?
I think there's a chance either that or 4 weeks. I kind of lost track over what tape or what episode of a taping we're on, so could be
Yeah.
3 weeks, could be 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, I was finishing up my notes when the credits were playing, so I just let them roll. And when Bill asked Grizzly to come into the territory as the matchmaker, do you think Grizzly thought his job was to hook the wrestlers up with his harem of tween girls? Because he's the matchmaker?
I look
Just when he thought I'd run
normally.
out of pedophile jokes to make.
Normally, when you get yourself canceled, it's to support something that I just said, but I'm not touching that one.
Okay. Um, at some point, I'm going to run out of jokes to make about pedophilia. Um, World Class, April 20th. I got to say, I'm still open to suggestions for episode titles, but I think Fire Ken Mantell right now is my leader in the clubhouse.
I'll join that club.
Okay. Let's go to the intro with Bill Mercer.
Welcome to World Class Championship Wrestling from the world famous Sportatorium. Major League of Professional Wrestling World Class Championship Wrestling seen around the world. Well, good evening. I'm Bill Mercer. Great to have you with us, and we have a tremendous card. The Freebirds are coming back. The fabulous Freebirds, Hayes, Gordy, and Roberts will be here. And we'll see that great main event of Gino Hernandez and Kevin Von Erich. That takes us a long time back because these two have battled almost from the very beginning. Gino Hernandez, Kevin Von Erich, our main event, and we'll have a lot more of the world's greatest wrestlers. We'll be right back with our first event right after this on World Class Championship Wrestling.
I love Bill Mercer. We love Bill Mercer. Why didn't he explain what that meant? Like back to the very beginning? I would have liked, I know it because we read Lizzie Flanagan's book, so we know about their starting days in wrestling. But they didn't mention what the hell that meant here, and are going on the theory that you're going to remember something from 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know what Bill Mercer means most of the time.
There's a few things I'm sure he said this week that we'll get to. But Gino versus Kevin's the main event, and the Freebirds are coming back. And there's a reason why they didn't mention who the Freebirds are wrestling this week. Let's just say the Forbidden Door should remain closed.
You remember that we were promised a fucking Midnight Express and Freebirds match that
Midnight Express
happened?
and Rip Oliver versus the Freebirds. Yep.
It probably would have been great. It probably would have been better than what we got here.
Really?
Yeah.
That low
Hot
bar
take.
that you've been setting this week.
Hot take.
Yes. I'm happy I was sitting down for that one. Well, remember like 5 minutes ago when Private Terry Daniels did the job for Eddie Gilbert in the Nightmare?
I do.
Private Terry Daniels versus Gary Hart's one-man gang with Gary Hart in his corner. Thankfully, Gary Hart is in the corner of Gary Hart's one-man gang. I knowing what was coming up on this show, I was like begging for this match to go long. I'm like, okay, I can deal with an extended one-man gang squash match here. And I actually kind of find it funny because Drunk Mark Lawrence like did the announcements from the apron because Gang was in the ring swinging his chain around. Like Terry Daniels, who had no chance to begin with, stood on the floor during the intros. Like
Daniels started the match by jumping on the one man gang's back. It was fantastic.
at one point, Gang is beating up Daniels and picks him up and is just holding him. And Bronco Lubitsch ordered him to put him down, and so Gang threw him down. Like I bet Terry Daniels appreciated that. Oh God. Gang won with an elbow drop. And I gotta say, we're not, fans of Private Terry Daniels. I mean, we don't hate the guy, but like we're not sitting here and praising the guy. But there were issues with this because they talked about how Gang was the awesome winner of this match, and Mercer said that he wasn't surprised by the results. If I'm Terry Daniels, I'm just going home at this point.
Sucks to suck.
Yeah. All right. So Ken Mantell has been the booker of this territory since before we started reviewing it. And thankfully, Ken Mantell has been mostly on the outside looking in. We've never seen him on TV. Him and his shitty comb over. Because, he's epically bald, but he's not accepting it yet. However, we have an amazing announcement by the NWA, and Ken fucking Mantell has been declared the right person to make that amazing announcement. Let's go to that now, and it's a bit lengthy, but I think it's worth it by the end.
Here with us now, the Fantastics, the Midnight Express, referees Rick Hazard, Bronco Lubitsch, and Mr. Jim Cornette, representing the Midnight Express, and Ken Mantell, who represents World Class Championship Wrestling's governing board. And he has an important announcement to make about the American Tag Team Championship.
Thank you, Bill. Everybody knows of the feud that's been going on between the Midnight Express with Jim Cornette and the Fantastics. On 2 occasions now, Jim Cornette has interfered in this title match and has caused these belts to be held up. Everyone also knows that there's a big spectacular coming up, and both teams, I know, want to go into that stadium as the American Tag Team Champions. The World Class Championship Wrestling governing body has made a decision. These belts and this title is held up. It will be decided on the spectacular, and for this match, Jim Cornette will be barred from ringside.
That's a spectacular bit of information. That is stunning news.
Hey, let me tell you people something. This is stupid that we're out here in the first place with these goofs, and it's stupid to do this whole thing out in front of these people, but I refuse. I will not be barred from ringside. My mother's lawyer's going to talk Nick Static Watergate, Bill Mercer, and there's no way that she's going to go for this, and there ain't no way that I'm going to go for it. You are not going to bar me, Ken Mantell. You can't do it. I won't let you. There's no legal way to bar me. I will not let my men go into combat with these lunatics without me there to guide them.
No. Wait, Jim Cornette, wait just a second. Ladies and gentlemen, we felt like that was the only way that we could get a fair and honest match. Now, Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers.
Hold it, please, so we can get this announcement in.
Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers have a request to make. Let's hear it.
We'd like to make a change, Jimmy. You can go ahead and come on down ringside, brother. Okay. You go ahead and come on down ringside, all right? We want this right now known to everybody. We're going to let you come ringside. But also, we got a surprise for him, Mr. Mantell. We've got a special guy that's always wanted to get in the wrestling business, and we've been, he's on the side. He's wanted to get in this sport a long, long time, and we met him in South Africa a while back, and he's wanted to get in professional wrestling, and we feel that he should get the closest seat in this big spectacular, you know? And I'll tell you, he's really a good guy, and we want him to come down.
Come here a second, Bill Mercer. You're trying to tell me you want me to sit next to a friend? He's probably some big wrestler or somebody like that. Is he a wrestler?
No, he's not a wrestler. He's never been in the ring before. He's from South Africa, just like we told you. We was over there wrestling. Listen, for once in your life. We was over there wrestling, and he said he wanted to get into professional wrestling. Hey, listen, Cornette, and we want you down at ringside because all that you've done to us, all the pain and all the anguish you caused us, we want you down the ring.
What is his name?
Okay, his name is Little John. His name is Little John.
Could we see him?
His name is Little John from South Africa.
Wait a minute, what you're trying to tell me now, Fulton and Roger, What you're trying to tell me is you got a friend of yours that wants to get into wrestling. He's never been, hold him back. He's never been a wrestler before. And his name is Little John.
Little John.
They call him Little John. He's never been a wrestler. He wants to get into wrestling. He wants to sit next to me. If I let him do that, where is the wee little fella anyway? Is he around here anyplace? If I let him do that, then I can sit at ringside. I can be at ringside with my men.
Jimmy Cornette, you wimp, we're going to bring Little John out here. Tommy?
Hey, I tell you what, punk. I tell you what, you goof. You got it. You got a deal, you idiot. Because if you think you're going to bring some little midget geek or something out here and put him next to me and will keep me from doing it, you're an idiot. They're both stupid. They don't got good sense.
Well, he's not a midget. He's I guess, 7 feet tall. Or how big?
Well, that's the biggest man I've ever seen in my life, Bill Mercer. Jim Cornette agreed to it.
How tall is this man?
He is 7'7", well over 450 pounds, brother. I'll tell you, we're excited about that. He's a bit the awesome sight that since Andre the Giant. I think he's bigger than Andre the Giant.
Well, he is huge.
That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, in the stadium, Jim Cornette will sit ringside, but he'll sit next to Little John.
And we'll be back with more World Class Championship Wrestling in just a moment.
So they went to South Africa, and they found a 7'7" man.
Yeah, apparently.
You know, maybe if they would have just called Lawler could just, save some plane fare to send him to Dallas instead of back to South Africa.
Huh.
Because wasn't he in Memphis?
I don't think so. I think this guy had legitimately never been in the wrestling business before. Like I've heard Cornette tell the story.
I thought Cornette told the story of him being in Memphis, but maybe I'm thinking of someone else.
No, Cornette. The way Cornette told this story was that he had never done anything before.
Isn't he Silo Sam or whatever? Or is that somebody else?
What the fuck is a Silo Sam?
That was his name, wasn't it? Okay, so according to the always reliable Wikipedia, John Elmo Harris was an American professional wrestler and actor who became known in the ring as Silo Sam in the AWA and for a brief stint in the WWE where he was Trapper John. Let's see here. In 1984, he started wrestling professionally and first appeared under the ring name Big John Harris in Jerry Jarrett's Memphis-based CWA. And in 1985, he worked as Little John for Fritz von Erich's World Class.
Huh. Cage match only has him, like, the first Memphis match is July of 85.
Let's see. Apparently, he was interviewed by Ken Resnick and replied to all of his questions with "Yup." That sounds like quite the promo. Oh my God, it was him. He was in fucking Pee-wee's Big Adventure when Pee-wee was watching the sunrise with that girl and the dinosaur, and they came out and he got attacked, or he almost got attacked by the guy with the giant bone. That was Lil Jon.
If I saw Pee-wee's Big Adventure, it's when I was a little kid.
Wow. I am almost offended by that. Almost.
Why?
I don't know, because it was that movie was like so important, when I was a child, and I know we were not, we're a few years apart, but it's like I figured, that was a movie everybody loved. But oh well. Matt Stryker loves that movie. And if you can't like something that Matt Stryker likes, I don't know.
Teacher Matt Stryker or Unibrow Matt Stryker?
Teacher Matt Stryker. He made reference to there not being a basement in the Alamo on a pay-per-view in San Antonio once.
There definitely was a basement at the Alamo, though.
Well, that's a part of Pee-wee's Big Adventure is that there's no basement in the Alamo. And everyone
Huh.
laughing at poor Pee-wee because he went to the Alamo to go to the basement.
Because I guess I don't understand the joke.
Well, his bike had been stolen and it was being taken across America for some reason, and a fortune teller told him that it was in the basement of the Alamo. So after many adventures that took him to the Alamo, he took a tour, and as the tour guide was finishing up, he asked when they were going to get to see the basement, and she's like, "There's no basement at the Alamo," and everyone laughed at Pee-wee.
Okay, so the Alamo does not have a traditional basement. What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know. Um, Anyway, while we're trying to figure that out, the Freebirds are back, and for some reason they're talking to drunk Mark Lawrence. Let's go to that because apparently we have to have like that one episode of World Class every 6 months that has a shit ton of promos. This is that one. Let's go to DML and the Freebirds.
I'm here with the fabulous Freebirds, Hayes, Gordy, and Roberts, talking about the spectacular tag bout, 2 Rings, Texas Stadium.
Well, you know, Mark Lawrence, everybody all over the world, everybody that watches world-class wrestling, everybody that knows anything that's going on is shocked and amazed that the fabulous Freebirds and the Von Erichs are going to team up. And there's been a lot of bad blood, and we're not saying we're going out to dinner after the match or anything. But when you stop and think about the professional sport of wrestling, and you stop and think about tag team wrestling, which we brought into prominence some years ago and how it has exploded, and you think about $100,000 and you have to have another tag team on your side, and tag team wrestling is so incorporated and it's so precise to know what each other's going to do. We figured if we had to go get another tag team to team up with us, we might as well get the ones that are just about as good as we are, and that would have had to been the Von Erichs.
All right, now the penalties are stiff should any problems occur within a team, but nevertheless, it still must be difficult because the history of the Freebirds and the Von Erichs is a rough one.
Well, that's true, Mark Lawrence, but you know when we seen that tape of that armored car coming out, man, backing out, and they opened up that door, and that cat stepped out there with $100,000 in that briefcase, man, and you know, we're already guaranteed the biggest purse anyway in Texas Stadium. That's why they signed us first, but the incentive of the $100,000, and even being on the 2nd annual David Von Erich Memorial Show, I mean, it's the biggest thing in professional wrestling. But for that, like I said before, we'd sell Mama for $100,000. And as long as there's no problems with them and there's none with us, because we've all got one goal in common, and that's walking away with the 100 and the car.
And the car, which is right here behind us, is that another problem? That only going to one winner?
Well, it's not a problem if nobody else has a problem with us winning it. I mean, you know, all the matches, Mark, you could think about the Canadian Lumberjacks, the cage matches, the tag team Texas Tornado matches. They all have,
the country whipping.
The country whipping matches. All right, they've all been history and you know, go down the annuals of wrestling. But right now, what's on everybody's mind is the same thing, because people know us around here, man. We've drank enough whiskey to float a battleship around, but we don't let no smart-talking people run us out of town. And this car right here, Bam Bam, you gonna like this car or what, man?
Man, I can't wait to win it.
Buddy, what do you think about the car?
You know, I just want to thank Guy Laney for offering the Freebirds a very nice car like this. As a matter of fact, guys, I'd like to take it out for a test drive. You think it's possible right now if I could?
Buddy, you're not going to drive it once we win it anyway. No, buddy. Hey, buddy, no. Not now, okay?
Just let me sit in it.
What do you want to sit in?
Okay,
go ahead, get the feel for it. It's a beautiful car, Mark Lawrence, and the people that win this, the people will know as a supreme tag team.
All right, the words of the Freebirds ready for Texas Stadium.
Do you think Guy Laney paid World Class more or less than Dude Wipes paid us to not sponsor the WrestleMania prediction show?
Probably a little more.
Hopefully.
Hayes quoting lines from Give Me Back My Bullets by Leonard Skinner, which would one day be the Briscoes theme in ROH, and apparently also a Buddy Landell theme in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, according to the internet.
And if you can't believe the internet, what else can you believe? So whose mama would they sell for $100,000? Would it be Hayes's mama, Gordy's mama, or Buddy's mama, you think?
All of
Or,
them.
or if they did try to sell all of them, would they try to get $100,000 each, or would they sell all three for $100,000?
Or best offer.
Or Mrs. Gordy, Mrs. Robertson, Mrs. Hayes. Oh God. I I did have to laugh because I was sitting here still dreading, knowing the match that was coming up because you told me about this match. Knowing the match that was next, I was like, I really want these promos to last forever. Well, we can't delay it anymore. The forbidden door has been opened, ladies and gentlemen. And this is like when WCW and New Japan had their relationship, and New Japan sending over Masahiro Chono, Hiroyoshi Tenzan, the Great Muda, you know, Mr. Saito, and WCW sending them Kenny Chaos and Scott Norton. So
Yeah.
over on Mid South, we've been getting Kerry Von Erich, we've been getting Chris Harris. Well, what the fuck? Chris Adams, who's not to confuse with Chris Harris in any way. Um, and here on World Class, we are getting Michael Hayes and Terry Gordy with Buddy Roberts in their corner against the very real team of Edcar Boo Thomas and it's your girl Thor.
Thor and Ed Thomas.
Who booked this shit?
The jackass who was just out here pretending to be an NWA representative.
Oh my God. Well, first of all, let's talk about the positives of this match. Buddy Roberts appears to have borrowed Heidi's wig.
Who's?
Heidi, the little girl from like that movie in the 60s that, got put on instead at the end of a football game.
Oh, Jesus.
Um, then Hayes must have known what was happening here because he debuted the Larry Zbyszko stall. Larry Zbyszko saw this stall and thought, man, that's a little bit too long of a stall, don't you think? So Thor, we're told, he is named for the god of thunder and lightning. And I was disappointed because I thought that he was just the god of lightning himself. And you know why he couldn't be the god of thunder, right?
Because he's not Gene Simmons?
No, almost. Because he was the host of WCW's Wednesday show, Mike Tenay was the god of thunder.
Now, what if your girl Thor fought the demon on Thunder to determine the god of thunder?
Would it have been a special main event?
Yes.
That is the greatest contract of all time.
It was funny because I remember that distinctly because I had the VHS tape of Super Brawl 2000, and it says it like on the fucking box special main event match, the Demon versus the Wall.
I cannot believe that Gene Simmons was okay with that. Like that qualified as a main event match. The third match on the show, the Demon versus the Wall, brother. And then the Wall won in like 3 minutes.
You remember when the Demon and Norman Smiley were the screaming demons?
Yes. Oh God! And there was this moment when I think Norman Smiley got stuck in the Demon's coffin as a
Yes.
shoot.
Yes.
Oh God. And then Vampiro would call him Dale Torborg.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've seen Thor wrestle a few times. We've seen Edcar Boo Thomas wrestle a few times. I don't know what happened here. I don't know if just, Thor went into business for himself. Edcar Thomas did not get in this match legally a single time. And you might hear me say that and know that they're wrestling Michael Hayes and Terry Gordy and are like, well, maybe it was like a 3-minute match. It's understandable. It's a 3-minute match, especially like a blitz squash match thing. You don't need a lot of tags in and out for the other team. Trae I'm sure has the real time. It's went at least 10 minutes.
It did. It went 10 minutes and 26 seconds.
I say this as someone who was clunky and unathletic when I tried to wrestle. Thor is clunky and unathletic in the ring. Hayes dropped down when Thor went off the ropes for, the jump over, and Thor had to stop and step over him, which is something that I did, and I am far less in shape than Thor appears to be. Now, I was sitting here waiting because we've seen Edcar Boo Thomas. He's green, but he can do some stuff. So it's okay, I bet he's gonna get in there and do a little something, and it might be interesting-ish. He tripped over the ropes trying to get in for a four-way brawl.
Poor Edcar Boo Thomas.
And literally, I wrote Thor was literally in the entire fucking match without tagging out. Gordy got the hot tag. Edcar got in for the four-way eventually, and he struggled to get thrown out of the ring, and Gordy spiked Thor for the win. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but being a 2-on-1 handicap match was better than Thomas tagging in.
Oh, poor Boo.
Oh my God, I guess we've never seen him in a tag match. So, but it's I don't know, I can't imagine a tag match is that much harder to work than a regular match. But yeah. This was the worst Edcar Boo Thomas we've ever seen, and we barely saw him in the match.
What if Edcar Boo Thomas fought Boo Bradley?
I think that'd be the only time in the history of wrestling that Boo Bradley was a superior worker.
Yes.
Actually, I shouldn't say that. What I mentioned last week that I looked into the future to see some random Smoky Mountain from next year. We have some real shit to talk about next year.
Joy.
We'll see. Maybe you'll see it and be like, "Oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen."
You know what? Sometimes I find good in stuff, so maybe.
Yeah. So, yeah. Any thoughts on this 10-minute spectacular?
Gordy had a hell of a lot of weight to carry in this match, and he did as well as he could have. I've seen worse matches on this show.
Yes. Most definitely. But again, close that forbidden door. We don't need that opened back up here. And was it longer or shorter than the main event? Because that main event felt just as long, but I don't think it even went that long.
It was about a minute and a half longer than the main event.
Who booked this shit?
Again, we know who booked this shit.
Yeah. So main event time, and it's funny because I wrote so much more about that match than the main event. The main event, your champion, Gino Hernandez with Chris Adams versus Denton County, 240 pounds, high-flying Kevin Von Erich.
Now, the Texas title wasn't on the line here.
Correct.
But do you think that if Kevin wins the world title, he might finally be a contender for the Texas title?
I think he could get up there.
Because remember, Gino defeated the world champion Ric Flair to become the Texas champion.
And to the best of our knowledge, Gino never got a shot at the world title.
He should have. That would have been fucking great.
I bet. I bet the final of the Texas title tournament was pretty damn good.
I bet it was. I wish that existed on tape.
Now, if Ric Flair would have won, do you think he would have vacated the world title in order to concentrate on being the Texas champion?
Only in Texas.
It's gonna be one of those things like back in the 1930s with the other NWA, like how Bronco Nagurski was the NWA champion, depending where you were, and you know, I forget who
Yeah.
else was in. I just remember Bronco Nagurski, and they had to eventually find a way to unify the belt. Then
Yeah.
realized that this was a different NWA, so they just got rid of it altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So Bill Mercer said that Dr. Death Steve Wilson will be in the two-ring bout at Texas Stadium. And for once on this show, that was not me fucking up. That was me quoting Bill Mercer. And I bet his protege is Edcar Ye Johnson. Uh,
Ooh, yay.
Kevin won a test of strength near the heel corner. So Chris Adams, being the gentleman that he is, politely showed Kevin the Texas Championship belt. And so Kevin had a temper tantrum, which somehow forced Bronco Lubitsch to throw Chris Adams out of ringside.
Very, very blatant discrimination from these referees.
Typically, that's David Manning Von Erich's job, who I think he must be off or something. He must be on vacation because, he hasn't refereed any of the Von Erich's matches recently.
Huh. Yeah.
Maybe the NWA finally suspended him for his bias.
Hope so.
Gino used what was called a reverse donkey kick, and I would like to be able to tell you people what a reverse donkey kick is, except while he was doing the reverse donkey kick, we were staring at the ugly fans in the sportatorium. Oh, God.
Rude.
So, it made me wonder, what is a donkey kick, and thus what is a reverse donkey kick?
Is a donkey kick in any way related to a donkey punch? Because I've heard of that.
Or maybe it's like a mule kick,
There you go.
Or like, remember when that horse bucked Terry Funk on Thunder? I'll kill
clearly,
you fucking horse.
So we know that a mule is the result of when a horse breeds with a donkey. So that means that a donkey kick would be a mule kick minus a horse kick.
Okay. And thus what makes it a reverse donkey kick?
Can we just name the show this week Donkey Kick?
Sure. Makes as much sense as anything else we call it. Oh, God. Gino used a slash across the eyes to avoid a claw. Kevin won with a flying body slam, which most of us would call a flying cross body. Gino tried a post-match attack, but Kevin clawed him and Gino got away. I had to rewind because I could swear drunk Mark Lawrence announced that David Von Erich was the winner of this match. No, he did say Kevin.
Oh.
Yeah. I was so ready to call him out on that one.
Sullying drunk Mark Lawrence's good name.
Yep. Kerry versus Chris Adams is next week's main event.
That's exciting.
Do you think we're actually going to finish to the match? I was actually I was ready to be mad about this because they made a big point to say that Kevin was getting a shot at the world title at Texas Stadium. And knowing that it's world class who doesn't like to have anybody ever win, I'm like, they have to have Kevin win somehow. Like you can let Gino get his heat back later on. But I was so convinced it was going to be some sort of schmoz finish. But nope, Kevin won.
Kevin won. Gino tried to get his heat back, and Kevin kicked his ass again.
Yeah. You know something? We complain about the Von Erichs being put over too strongly at times. Kevin Von Erich is going for the world title. He should be put over too strongly right now.
This is the appropriate amount to put someone who's going for the world title on your biggest show of the year or over.
Yes. If you're one of those people who bitched about Bobby Lashley breaking the master lock during the build to WrestleMania 23, that was appropriate. And I don't imagine anybody actually bitched about that, but it was the only thing I could think of off the top of my head about a WrestleMania main eventer beating somebody who's got a decent push.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was world class. It was, hey, we had 10 minutes of promos, so that automatically made it a decent world class. But we also had that 10-minute tag match, which again, not the worst thing we've ever seen on this show, because Edcar Boo Thomas couldn't get in the ring, so we don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah. Apparently, Jade Cargill used a one-winged angel last night at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I saw a clip. It wasn't bad. People are being very stupid about it, and then everybody is pointing out, including I saw Big Damo, what was his WWE name? Killian Dane.
He did the Ulster Plantation.
Yeah, and he said the first person that he saw do it at least was Billy Kidd of Osaka Pro in the early 2000s. Chris Hero did a variation of it. Other people, Big Damo has done it since 2009. Omega started doing it in 2010, 2011, and then I saw somebody, and I forget who, and I forget who the wrestler was, but somebody posted a clip of a Japanese woman wrestler doing the move in 2000.
And by the way, Kenny Omega at Kenny Omega Man X on X. When I see moves I do elsewhere, I only take it as a compliment. If somehow I inspired people to use them, I can only be grateful. Besides, seeing the one-winged angel on the WrestleMania ring was kind of neat, right? It's all good with me. And then he posted a GIF of a cat. So
yeah, and here's the.
I don't hate Kenny Omega. Plus, he just posted a GIF of a cat. So what the hell?
Here's the thing with moves, okay? You don't fucking own a wrestling move. Like, if you invent something that's cool and you have the right to it, at least in like the territory that you're working in, but like you don't own it.
Yep.
That goes back to the business the same way that all of the moves that you do that other people invented came from the business.
Yeah. And like, I'm looking at a picture of Brock Lesnar. Like, yeah, it was slightly different, but literally, like the F5 is a slightly different version of Mark Merrow's TKO. Like Merrow threw them backwards and Brock threw them up front.
It's not the only thing that Brock probably did better than Mark Merrow.
Fable had no kids before that. Ethan Page debuted on Raw tonight.
Ethan Page. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a Raw after WrestleMania, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I'm like scanning through the WrestleMania notes to see if there's anything to talk about here. Apparently, CM Punk and Cody Rhodes had a segment. That's nice of them. Scrolling. Finn Balor talked, and Ethan Page took on Javon Evans. Okay, that's as of this moment all that's being written about Raw. Obafemi kicked off Raw. I'll be honest, the way they were talking about last night, I was expecting it to be Obafemi beats Roman Reigns tonight for the world title.
I saw somebody else say that. They must have. I don't know. The only thing that I watched was Punk and Reigns.
Well, they did the post show, and Roman was outside, and I guess somehow Oba said something about wanting to wrestle Roman, and Roman said something about wrestling Oba. So I put two and two together, and well, I got six. So what can you do?
There you go.
Yep. Let's see. Did you want to say anything about Brock Lesnar's retirement? Alleged retirement?
No.
It's like this is not the first time people have taken off, their stuff and left it in the ring. As like The Undertaker did that after the Roman Reigns match and wrestled the very next year at WrestleMania. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're gonna set up like something for SummerSlam in Minneapolis.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we assumed last week when we were talking about WrestleMania, that they're going to do something for Brock's retirement match at SummerSlam. I mean, if this is it, like, it's kind of weird they didn't wait it out till SummerSlam, but it's like, if it is it, like, you don't need any more from him. Like, he's wrestled everybody. It's like when when Hunter lost to Seth Rollins, I'm like, okay, Hunter can retire now because he's basically come full circle with everything. Like anything now would be overkill. And of course, it's Hunter, so it became overkill, you know? But it's like if Brock left now, good for him. Whatever he did with Janelle Grant, I'm not forgiving him for, but it's like he's got nothing left to prove in pro wrestling, you
They
know?
should they should have Jesse Ventura referee the main event of SummerSlam in Minneapolis.
Do you think the people of Minneapolis or Minnesota specifically would be as pissed off as they were the last time he did that?
Probably not. I think there's bigger things going on now.
Probably. They also had a problem with him doing the XFL, which was not just because he was doing the XFL.
Well, I mean, wasn't the fucking Secretary of Education on the Hall of Fame broadcast the other night?
Apparently, yes.
As horrific as that statement is horrific on so many levels.
What there is some debate over Stephanie using Vince's name because a lot of people are saying that she had to bring up Vince during the Hall of Fame. And there's quite a few people, including Lance Storm, who adamantly say that she did not have to do such a thing. And Lance has been saying that he feels that this is a concerted effort by WWE to work Vince's name back in so that next year they can put him in the Hall of Fame in Saudi Arabia.
Lance Storm may be the only person in the wrestling business who I really believe like holds himself to the same morals that he holds everybody else to.
Oh yeah, I truly believe that. There was two times I had a uh, disagreement with something Lance Storm has said and been adamant about, but those are so incredibly minor in the grand scheme of things that it's like if I didn't if I didn't have the memory that I do of some shit, nobody else fucking remembers it, I bet.
I have a highly specific beef with Lance, but it's not.
So we don't want to
It's not
discuss our highly
important.
specific beefs with Lance.
It's really not important.
That's right. We managed to talk about how great Lance Storm is, and we both have things to say about Lance, and he's too good of a guy. We'll give him a pass on this one.
And everyone we like Lance,
Yes.
obviously.
And it's funny because I was a huge fan of Lance before I had the internet. So I discovered his website right before he retired in '04, and I'm like, oh my God, he is so fucking funny in real life. Why is he such a whatever in WWE?
They say the same thing about Dean Malenko that backstage I was the funniest motherfucker.
Brad Armstrong. Remember when I think we talked about it on the show. Remember they put him on the WWE ECW broadcast team for 2 weeks, and Joey and Taz buried the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
It's like, there's that.
I don't know why I thought of this. I think I was watching an episode of a Collision, and Don on commentary and said something about how many kids Shivani has, and it made me think of the famous Arn Anderson line, and damn Shivani, you must have enough cum in you to shampoo a buffalo.
I am not putting Tony Schiavone's kids as a preview of this week's episode.
Let's finish up. I just got a warning that my headphones are going to die.
Oh, one last thing. Michael
Okay.
Cole apparently said that the Halloween Havoc match between Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero was a ladder match.
He's mixing that up with a different famous.
But also, this was the same Michael Cole who a couple years ago said that the first time Rey Mysterio ever saw Eddie Guerrero wrestle was when Eddie wrestled at Starrcade.
Yeah, the one thing that I can say, having watched one match, is that Michael Cole still sucks.
He sucks a little less than he used to, but that's also because our standards have dropped so low. Anywho, Trey's about to go offline, so we're going to call it a day. Thank you all for listening. Hope you all enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you again in 7 days.
Bye.